Save my company. I'll give you $100 million. The CEO mocked the maid's daughter. But he never imagined that she was the only one who could actually do it. The system is gone. At 8:55 a.m., Stratosphere Solutions, a company processing $500 million an hour, flatlines. Panic erupts. Every minute we are down, we lose $1 million, screams CEO Harrison Cole. The best minds in New York are helpless. The virus is brilliant. The company is finished. In the chaos, only one person sees the truth. A 12-year-old girl. I think I can help. She's met with cruel laughter. You? The CEO scoffs. The maid's daughter? He makes a sarcastic promise. Save my company, and I'll give you $100 million. It was the most expensive joke of his life. In a room full of failing experts, what if she was the only one who knew how to stop the bleeding? It was 5 a.m. when Laura O'Malley pushed her cleaning cart into the lobby of Stratosphere Solutions. The building was a spear of glass and steel piercing the dark Manhattan sky. Laura, at 42, wore her simple uniform with a quiet, tired dignity. On her shoulders, she carried the hopes of her small family. She was a single mother. Her entire world revolved around one person, her daughter, Emily. 14 years ago, Laura had arrived in the city with nothing. She had only a bus ticket and an old photograph of her father. Her father was Sam O'Malley. He was a war hero, a legend in his old unit. He had been a code breaker, a quiet man who saw patterns in chaos. He passed away when Laura was young, leaving her with only his stories and his sharp analytical mind. It was a mind she had passed on to her own daughter. "Mom," a small voice whispered from the lobby entrance. Emily O'Malley, 12 years old, slipped through the automatic doors. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She held up a brown paper bag. "You forgot your breakfast. Again." Laura smiled, her face softening. "Emily, sweetie, you should be sleeping. It's too early for you." "I'm not tired," Emily said. Her eyes, the same bright blue as her grandfather's, were already scanning the massive, empty lobby. Emily was special. At school, she did not just get good grades. She solved puzzles that stumped her teachers. Her math teacher once told Laura, "Mrs. O'Malley, I don't know how to teach her. She's already 3 years ahead of the curriculum." Emily saw the world differently. She saw it as a set of interlocking systems. Like her grandfather, she loved patterns. She loved codes. She dreamed of building computers, not cleaning the floors around them. "One day, I'm going to work on the 50th floor," Emily said quietly. She was watching the digital stock ticker run in a silent loop across the marble wall. "But not with a cleaning cart," she added. "I'm going to be an engineer." Laura felt a familiar pang in her heart. She knew how hard the world could be. She knew how people looked at them. "You are the smartest person I know, honey," Laura said, smoothing Emily's hair. "You can be anything." "I know," Emily said. She wasn't bragging. It was just a fact. In the summer, Emily often came with her mother in the early hours. The building was quiet. She would help Laura organize supplies. She polished the brass fixtures. She checked the conference room schedules, but her mind was always working. She watched the engineers who came in early. She watched the security systems. She noticed the flaws. "Mom, why do they use a 6-digit keypad for the main server room?" she murmured while wiping fingerprints off the panel. "It's too easy to brute force. They should be using biometric scanners." Laura would just shake her head, half confused, half amazed. "Just wipe it clean, sweetie." Emily's mind was a sponge. It soaked up everything. "Mom, why do they look right through us?" Emily asked one morning. 2 executives in sharp suits had just walked past, discussing a golf game. They had walked so close, Laura had to pull her cart back to avoid being hit. They didn't even blink. They didn't see her. Laura stopped wiping a glass door. She looked at her daughter. "Honey, some people think the job they have or the money they make makes them better than other people. But that's not logical," Emily said. "Your job is important. If you didn't clean, the building would be a mess. It would be unhealthy. Systems need maintenance. All systems. Laura smiled. You're right. Now, remember what Grandpa Sam always said in his letters? Emily's face lit up. She recited it from memory. Dignity isn't in the title. It's in the work. Exactly, Laura said. You have the kindest heart and the sharpest mind. That is your value. Not everyone was like the executives. George, the night security guard, always saved a donut for Emily. He was an older man, kind and slow-moving, and Brenda, the executive assistant on the 40th floor, always chatted with Laura. That girl of yours, she's a firecracker, Laura, Brenda said just last week. She was in the break room reading a book about quantum something? Quantum computing, Emily supplied, walking up. It's about how particles can be in two places at once. It could change everything. Brenda just laughed and gave her a granola bar. She's going places, Laura. Mark my words. Emily dreamed of those places every night. She dreamed of writing code that could solve climate change. She dreamed of walking into this building as an equal. But she also saw the reality. She saw how some of the younger managers looked at her mother. A look of annoyance. A look of disgust. One day, Emily whispered to herself, watching the sunrise hit the 50th floor. They'll see. Laura worked double shifts. She cleaned offices at night and houses in the suburbs during the day. Every extra dollar went into a college fund for Emily. My daughter is going to have the life I couldn't, Laura told George one night. She's not just going to clean floors. She's going to own the building. Emily heard this. She felt the weight of her mother's dreams. It wasn't a burden. It was fuel. Every book from the library, every hour spent on the old-school computer, it was a step toward that future. Their story was the story of so many. Honest, hard-working people, full of dreams, but overlooked. They were the invisible engine that kept the city running. Laura was meticulous. She treated everyone with respect, from the CEO to the mailroom clerk. Emily absorbed these lessons. She saw her mother's dignity. She learned that character was more important than a job title. You're going to achieve everything you dream of, Laura would say, hugging Emily tight, but never forget who you are, and never forget the work it took to get there. That Tuesday morning, neither of them knew their lives were about to change. In just a few hours, the girl everyone ignored would become the most important person at Stratosphere Solutions. As Emily helped her mother clean the 49th floor executive lounge, she had no idea, she did not know that the entire company would soon depend on her. Her mother had planted seeds of dignity and hard work. Her grandfather had passed down a mind that saw through chaos. Now, those seeds were about to blossom. On the 50th floor, Harrison Cole ruled his empire. He was 58, with a perfectly tailored suit and ice-gray eyes. He saw the world in black and white, winners and losers. To Harrison Cole, people like Laura and Emily were furniture. Brenda, why is that cleaning cart still on this floor? He snapped, walking past. It's 6 a.m. They should be gone. Yes, Mr. Cole, Brenda said, wincing. But the real poison was 2 floors below. Mark Jennings, the chief technology officer. He was 45, ambitious, and deeply insecure. He hated Harrison Cole's arrogance, but he hated people he saw as beneath him even more. Look at that, Mark muttered to a junior programmer, seeing Emily read a sign by the elevator. They're even bringing their children to work now. This place is turning into a daycare. Mark despised uneducated people. He believed success was genetic. You either had it or you cleaned toilets. His ambition was simple: take control of Stratosphere Solutions, and he had a plan. Over the last month, Mark had used his high-level access to build a digital time bomb, a worm, a devastating virus that would lock down the entire company. It would erase critical data. It would sever their connection to the global markets. His goal: create a crisis so massive, the board would blame Harrison Cole. Cole would be fired. And Mark Jennings, the man who tried to fix it, would be the hero he would take over. "Today's the day," Mark whispered, sitting at his desk at 8:55 a.m. He checked his watch. The market was about to open, time to teach the old man a lesson. With a single keystroke, Mark activated the worm. It was silent for about 3 seconds. Then, the entire building went dark. The giant ticker in the lobby froze. The computers on 50 floors went black. The phones died. A terrible, heavy silence fell over the offices. Then the screaming started. "My screen is dead. The system is gone. It's all gone. I can't get a dial tone." Stratosphere Solutions, a company that processed $500 million an hour, was blind, deaf, and dumb. It was as if someone had pulled the plug on the entire building. Harrison Cole burst out of his office, his face purple with rage and panic. "What is happening? Why is everything off?" Mark Jennings ran up, putting on a perfect performance of surprise and concern. "Harrison, we have a catastrophic failure. The core system is down. I've never seen anything like this." "A failure?" Cole roared. "We are processing the Apex merger. That's a $300 million deal. Every minute we are down, we lose $1 million. Fix it. Fix it now." "I'm trying, Harrison," Mark lied smoothly. "But this is bad. You should probably call the board." Harrison Cole felt the floor drop out from under him. The board. They would crucify him, his career, his reputation, his empire. It was all on the line. Down on the 40th floor, Laura and Emily had been trapped when the elevator shut down. They heard the panic, the shouting, the running. "What's going on, Mom?" Emily asked, her voice calm. She was watching the security guards run by, their radios dead. She looked at the network status monitor on the wall. It was not just off. It was showing a fatal error code she recognized. Her analytical mind was already working. "Mom," Emily said, her voice low. "This wasn't an accident." "What do you mean, sweetie?" Laura asked, pulling her cart close. "Systems don't just fail like this, not all at once. They have backups. They have redundancies." Emily pointed to the error code. "That's not a failure. That's a command. Someone told it to shut down." Laura looked at her daughter, a new fear rising. "Someone inside the company?" "Yes," Emily said, "and they did it on purpose." Harrison Cole had screamed at Brenda to get the best people. "Call Cybercore, call Digital Fortress, get them here now." Soon, the 50th floor conference room was a command center. Clients were screaming. Investors were panicking. The stock was already in freefall. Mark Jennings moved through the room, helping. He was secretly sabotaging every effort. When a technician suggested rebooting the central server, Mark shook his head. No, too risky. We could corrupt the data caches." The first team of experts arrived. Cybercore. Robert Chen, their team lead, looked grim. "We need full admin access to diagnose." "You have it!" Harrison yelled. "Just get us back online." More teams arrived. The room was full of the smartest minds in New York, and nothing worked. "This virus, it's brilliant," one expert admitted. "It's not just locking us out, it's eating the data. But it's doing it slowly, hiding its tracks. It's like it was built by someone who knew our exact system architecture," Robert Chen said, looking around the room. 3 hours passed. 4. The best experts in the city were failing. Harrison Cole watched his empire crumble. "I'm calling the FBI," Harrison suddenly announced. "If this is sabotage, I want an investigation. I want someone in jail." Mark Jennings felt a cold spike of fear. The FBI. They could trace the access logs. "Harrison, wait," Mark said, trying to sound reasonable. "The FBI will impound everything. They'll lock down the servers as evidence. We'll be down for weeks." "I don't care," Harrison roared. "I want answers." Laura and Emily had been asked to bring water into the packed conference room. The air was thick with sweat and fear. Emily, carrying a tray of plastic cups, had been listening. She watched Mark Jennings. She saw how he diverted the experts. She saw the flash of pure panic in his eyes when Mr. Cole mentioned the FBI she knew. As Laura was about to leave, Emily put her tray down. She stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said. The room went silent. 25 of the brightest tech minds in the world stopped talking. They all turned to look at a 12-year-old girl in a simple dress. "Who is this?" Harrison Cole demanded, his voice raw with irritation. "Get this kid out of here." "She's my daughter, sir," Laura said, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry. Emily, come on, we're bothering them." "Wait, Mom," Emily said. Her voice was not loud, but it cut through the room. I think I can help." Mark Jennings burst out laughing. It was a loud, cruel sound. "You can help?" he sneered. "This is priceless. We have the best minds from Cybercore, and she thinks she can help." "What? Did you learn about global mainframes while you were sweeping the floor?" Laura put a protective hand on Emily's shoulder. "Sir, please, she's just a child." "Exactly," Mark said. "So get her out. We are trying to save a multi-billion-dollar company." "I know what the virus is," Emily said, looking past Mark, directly at Harrison Cole. The room went dead quiet again. "I know how it was built, and I know why the experts can't stop it." Harrison Cole stared at her. He was a desperate man. He was also an arrogant man. He was being humiliated by a child. He let out a short, bark-like laugh. The sound was terrifying. "You?" he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "The maid's daughter?" He looked around the room, at the chaos. He pointed a shaking finger at Emily. "You save my company, kid. You save my company, and I'll give you $100 million. It was not a promise, it was a curse. It was the deepest sarcasm he could manage. "Now get her. Out!" he screamed. Mark Jennings smiled, victorious. He grabbed Emily's arm. "You heard the man. Go play with your dolls." Laura pulled Emily back, shielding her. "Don't you touch my daughter." She pulled Emily out of the room, her face burning with humiliation. The door clicked shut, leaving the men to their failure. The heavy door of the conference room clicked shut, sealing them in the hallway. The silence out here felt even louder than the panic inside Laura O'Malley finally let out the breath she had been holding. Her hands were shaking. She was not angry. She was deeply, profoundly hurt. "Oh, Emily," she whispered, her voice thick with tears she refused to let fall. "I am so sorry. That man, Mr. Jennings, the way he looked at you, the way Mr. Cole laughed." She pulled Emily into a fierce hug. "I should never have let you speak. I just wanted to protect you." Emily did not hug her back at first. She was completely still. Her mind was racing. She was not processing the insult. She was processing the data. She heard the faint, desperate typing from inside the room. She saw the error code still frozen on a wall monitor. She saw Mark Jennings's face in her mind, the way his eyes darted to the main server hub when the FBI was mentioned. "He's afraid of the servers being taken," Emily murmured. "That's where the proof is." "What, sweetie?" Laura asked, pulling back to look at her daughter's face. "He's not just blocking them," Emily said, her voice gaining a sharp, clear focus. "He's diverting them. They're looking for one virus, but there are two." "Emily, stop," Laura said, her voice full of pain. "Let it go. These people, they don't deserve your help. They're cruel. Let's just go home." "We can't," Emily said. "The elevators are off." It was a simple, practical statement, but it also meant they were still in the game. "Mom, I need a computer, one that's on the internal network but not a main terminal." "Emily, what are you talking about?" "The assistant's desk, Brenda," Emily said. "She has a workstation on the 40th floor. It has high-level access. It's probably on a separate power backup." "We can't just—" Laura started. "Laura? Emily?" A voice called from down the hall. It was Brenda, the executive assistant. Her face was pale, and she was clutching a stack of papers to her chest. "I can't believe what Mr. Cole said. It was monstrous," Brenda said, her voice shaking. And Mark Jennings. I've never liked that man. Laura nodded, trying to hold on to her composure. It's all right, Brenda. We're going to try and find the stairs. No, Emily said, stepping forward. Brenda looked at her. Emily, Laura warned. They're all going to fail, Emily said, not to her mom, but to Brenda. Her voice was steady. They are wasting time. Mr. Cole is losing millions and the man who did this is in that room, watching them. Brenda's eyes went wide. What are you saying? I'm saying I know who it is. And I know how he did it, Emily said. Brenda looked like she had seen a ghost. Who? Mr. Jennings, Emily said simply. Brenda gasped. Mark? No, he's been trying so hard. He's been pretending, Emily said. He's feeding them bad information. He built a trap, and every time the experts run a diagnostic, they trigger the trap. I don't understand, Brenda said. Emily took a breath. She had to make this simple, clear, plain language. Imagine the system as a house, Emily began. Mr. Jennings built a worm. That worm went in and locked all the doors and windows. That's what shut the building down. All the experts are trying to pick the locks. She paused, making sure Brenda was following. Brenda nodded. But Mr. Jennings also built a spider, Emily continued. The spider is inside the house. It's small and it's hiding. Its job is to burn all the furniture. It's destroying the data, the real data, the client accounts, the merger files. Oh my, Brenda whispered. Here is the problem, Emily said, her voice urgent. The spider is connected to the alarm. Every time the experts try to pick a lock, they set off the alarm. And every time the alarm goes off, the spider burns the house faster. Brenda's face turned from pale to gray. They're making it worse? Yes, they think it's just one virus. It's two. They are working against each other on purpose. It's designed to be confusing. It's designed to make the data unrecoverable. Emily looked at Brenda. They will never find it. In one more hour, there will be nothing left to save. Brenda's mind was reeling. A 12-year-old girl was explaining this, but it made a terrible kind of sense. The panic, the failure, the way Mark Jennings kept telling everyone to be careful. Why did he do it? Brenda asked. He wants Mr. Cole to fail. He wants to be in charge, Emily said. But he can't let the FBI see what he did. So he has to destroy the evidence. That's the spider. He's destroying the proof of his own crime. I have to tell them, Brenda said. They won't listen to you, Emily said. Mr. Jennings will say you are a hysterical woman. Mr. Cole will fire you. Brenda knew Emily was right. So what do we do? Brenda asked. She was no longer talking to a child. She was talking to a general. I need your computer, Emily said. The one on your desk, on the 40th floor. The stairs. It would take 20 minutes to get down there, Brenda said. No, Emily said. The service elevator. The one we use for the carts. It runs on a different circuit. Laura's heart was pounding. Emily, this is too much. You're a child. We could go to jail. Mom, Emily said, turning to her. Her blue eyes were sharp and clear, just like her grandfather's. Remember what Grandpa Sam said? Laura paused. Dignity isn't in the title. It's in the work, Emily said. My work is this. I know how to fix this. She looked back at Brenda. Are you going to help me, or are we going to let him win? Brenda looked at the door to the conference room. She thought of all the years Mr. Cole had paid her well, but treated her like a servant. She thought of Mark Jennings, who always made slimy, inappropriate comments. And she looked at this brilliant, brave little girl. Come with me, Brenda said. The three of them, the assistant, the maid, and the child, ran to the service elevator. It hummed to life. Mr. Jennings shut down the main power, Brenda said, confused. How is this working? He didn't shut down everything, Emily said, as the doors closed. He's not stupid. He needed an escape route for the virus to phone home. A way to get data out. He left a few maintenance systems online, like this elevator. They rode down in silence. The 40th floor was chaos. People were in the hallways, on their cell phones, shouting. No one noticed them. Brenda unlocked her terminal. The screen flickered on. It was slow, but it was connected. Okay, Brenda said, her hands shaking. What do I do? You don't do anything, Emily said. I do. Emily sat down in the expensive leather chair. It was too big for her. Her feet dangled, not touching the floor. She put her small hands on the keyboard. Mom, she said, I need you to be the lookout. Stand by the door. If you see Mr. Jennings or anyone from security, you yell. Laura O'Malley, who had spent her life cleaning floors, stood guard at the entrance to the executive suite. She had never been more terrified or more proud. Okay, Emily said to herself. Let's see what you built, Mr. Jennings. Her fingers flew. She wasn't trying to break in. She was already in. She was using Brenda's high-level credentials. She didn't go to the main server. That was the trap. She went to the building's internal maintenance logs, the HVAC system, the security cameras, the elevators. Got you, she whispered. She found it a tiny, hidden program. It was disguised as a software update for the thermostats. It was the spider. It was running on a loop, communicating with the main server. And she was right. Every time a new diagnostic was run, the spider activated, grabbing a new block of data and corrupting it. He's not just deleting it, Emily murmured, horrified. He's overwriting it with garbage, old stock tickers, random code. It's pure vandalism. Emily, can you stop it? Brenda asked, chewing her fingernails. Stop it? No, Emily said. If I stop it, he'll know. The program will alert him. So, what then? A trap for a trap, Emily said. If the spider is looking for the alarm, I'll give it one. I'm going to create a sandbox, a fake server, a copy of the house, but with no furniture. Emily's hands moved with a speed that Brenda could barely follow. She was writing code, lines and lines of it. I'm going to redirect the spider, Emily said. I'm going to tell it that the experts have broken in. I'm going to send it to the sandbox to burn the fake data. It will be so busy trying to destroy my fake files. It won't be able to touch the real ones. It was a brilliant plan. It was the plan of a master strategist. Okay, Emily said, her finger hovering over the enter key. I'm in. The spider is contained. It's trapped in my loop. You did it! Brenda cheered. No, Emily said. That's just step one. I've stopped the bleeding. Now, we have to catch the worm. Back on the 50th floor, the mood had gone from panic to despair. Robert Chen, the head expert from Cybercore, threw his hands up. It's no use, Harrison, he said, slumping into a chair. We've lost. Every time we get close, the data corrupts. It's like it knows we're here. We've lost 6 more data clusters in the last 10 minutes. Mark Jennings was standing by the window, a small, satisfied smirk on his face. It was almost over. Harrison Cole stuttered. He was a broken man. My company. We're looking at total liquidation, his chief financial officer said, his head in his hands. We're done. At that exact moment, Robert Chen's laptop beeped. A single, sharp beep. He looked at his screen. His eyes widened. Wait, Chen said, that's impossible. What? Harrison Cole asked, a tiny, sick flicker of hope. The data corruption, Chen said, typing furiously. It just stopped, right in the middle of a cycle. It's been redirected. Mark Jennings's smirk vanished. His blood ran cold. Redirected? That wasn't part of the plan. What do you mean redirected? Mark snapped, walking over. That's not possible. It's not just possible, it's happening, Chen said, his fingers flying. Someone else is in the system, right now. They've created a parallel data loop, a sandbox, a perfect, beautiful sandbox. Chen looked up from his screen, his face alive with a new, frantic energy. He was no longer a defeated man. He was an artist who had just seen a masterpiece. "Who is doing this?" Chen demanded. "Which one of your teams is this? This is genius." All the other experts shook their heads. "Not me. It's not our work." Mark Jennings started to sweat. "It's probably just a system echo." "That was not an echo," Chen roared. "That was a deliberate, surgical move." He looked around the room, his eyes wild. "Where is she?" "Who?" Harrison Cole asked. "The girl!" Chen shouted. "The maid's daughter, the one who was talking about two viruses, a worm and a spider." Harrison Cole's jaw went slack. "She said, they're triggering it." "She knew," Chen said. "She was right. I thought she was just a kid, but she knew." He grabbed Harrison Cole by the lapels of his $5,000 suit. "Where is that girl?" Chen yelled. "Get her! Get her right now! She is the only person on this planet who knows what is happening." Harrison Cole was stunned. He looked at Mark Jennings. Mark was pale. "Harrison, this is ridiculous. It's a coincidence. You can't seriously—" "Brenda!" Harrison Cole roared into the hallway. "Brenda, find that maid. Find her daughter. I don't care what you have to do. Get them up here." A moment later, Brenda's voice came over the intercom on Cole's desk. They're already here, sir." The door to the conference room opened. Brenda walked in first, then Laura, and then Emily. Every person in the room, the experts, the executives, the lawyers, all turned. Emily O'Malley, 12 years old, walked to the head of the giant mahogany table. She was so small, she could barely see over it. Mark Jennings looked at her, his eyes filled with a pure, murderous hatred. "You," he whispered. Emily ignored him. She looked at Robert Chen. "I contained the spider," she said. "It's trapped in a loop, chasing fake data." Chen just stared at her, his mouth open. "How?" "He routed it through the HVAC maintenance network," Emily said, as if it were obvious. "It was the only system with an open port to the outside. He was careless. He left the port open so he could check on it from home. I just closed the door behind it." Then she turned to Harrison Cole. The most powerful man in New York. The man who had mocked her. "The data is safe, Mr. Cole," Emily said. She pointed a small finger directly at Mark Jennings. "Now, should I tell them how to catch the worm? Or should I tell them about the man who built it?" The silence in the room was a living thing. It was heavy, and it was terrified. Mark Jennings stared at Emily. His face, which had been pale with shock, was now turning a dark, dangerous red. "This is a circus," he finally yelled. His voice was too loud, too sharp. "Are you all insane? You're listening to a child?" He pointed a shaking finger at Emily. "She's the one in the system. She's probably working with someone. She admitted she created a sandbox. How do we know she didn't cause all this just to play hero?" The accusation was absurd, but it was enough to make Harrison Cole hesitate. He looked from his trusted CTO to the 12-year-old girl. "Mr. Jennings," Cole began, his voice uncertain. "I didn't," Emily said. Her voice was flat. No fear, no emotion, just fact. "He did." She did not try to argue. She did not defend herself. She turned away from Mark Jennings, as if he were no longer important. She walked to Robert Chen's laptop. He was the cybercore expert. He was still staring at his screen, mesmerized by the code that had trapped the spider. "May I?" Emily asked him. Robert Chen looked up. He saw her calm, serious face. He nodded slowly. It's your show, kid." He stood up, giving her his chair. Emily sat down. Once again, her feet dangled, inches from the floor. Her hands moved over the keyboard. She wasn't just typing, she was navigating. She was moving through the digital traps Mark had set. "The worm is still active," she said, speaking to the whole room. "We're safe from the spider. The data is not being erased. But the worm is the main lock. It's what keeps the system offline. And he—" "Mr. Jennings." He built it with a logic bomb. A what? Harrison Cole snapped. A dead man's switch, Robert Chen translated, his eyes glued to the screen, watching what Emily was doing. A failsafe. If we try to delete the worm, the bomb goes off. It will destroy the central servers, not just erase the data. It will fry the hardware. It will be the end of the company. Mark Jennings allowed himself a small, cruel smile. He said nothing. He had them. That's standard failsafe protocol, Mark finally said, his voice smug. Any good security system has one. It's not proof of anything. I know, Emily said, without looking up. The proof isn't in the bomb. She kept typing. She opened a new window. It was the source code for the worm. It was thousands of lines of complex, encrypted text. The proof is in the style. She pointed a small finger at a block of text. He was clever. He used a visionaire cipher to hide his command strings. It's an old military-grade encryption method. She finally looked up. She looked at Mark Jennings. My great-grandfather was a codebreaker, she said, her voice quiet. He was a war veteran, a legend. He taught my mother how to see patterns, and she taught me. To you, this is just random text. To me, it's a signature. It's like your handwriting. Mark's face was white. He knew what a visionaire cipher was. He never imagined anyone, least of all her, would recognize it. She's lying. This is fantasy, Mark shouted. Emily ignored him. She looked at the keyboard. A cipher needs a key. Most programmers use a random string of numbers. They're hard to guess, but angry, arrogant people, they use something personal. Her fingers moved to the keyboard. She's bluffing, Mark yelled. Get her away from that computer. Emily typed 4 letters, M-A-R-K. She hit the Enter key. The screen flickered. The lines of random text suddenly decrypted. They resolved into plain, readable English, a list of hidden commands. And at the very bottom, a hidden note left by the programmer for himself. Brenda, the assistant, read it aloud, her voice a shaking whisper. MJ. Oh my. Mark Jennings. A terrible, animal-like sound came from Mark's throat. It was over. You little... he screamed. He lunged, not at Emily. He lunged for the laptop. He was going to smash it. He was going to destroy the proof, but he never made it. George, the night security guard, had been standing by the door. He was the one who saved donuts for Emily. He had been called up to the 50th floor to keep the panicking employees out. When Mark Jennings lunged, George's old training kicked in. He didn't move fast. He just moved. He stepped into Mark's path. Mark, a man who sat at a desk all day, ran full speed into George's solid chest. Hold on, Mr. Jennings, George said, his voice calm. He put one large, firm hand on Mark's suit jacket. You don't want to do that. Mark scrambled, trying to push past, Get your hands off me! I am the CTO! Not anymore, Harrison Cole said. His voice was like ice. The rage, the panic, the fear. It was all gone. It had been replaced by a cold, quiet fury. Mark Jennings froze. He looked at Cole. Mark, is this true? Cole asked. It was a formality, they all knew the answer. Mark's composure, his arrogance, his entire life just shattered. It broke apart, right there in the conference room. His body slumped. The fight was gone. He deserved it, Mark whispered, his voice cracking. The old fool. I gave him 20 years of my life, 20 years. I built this place, and he gave the Apex merger to Johnson. He was passing me over. He looked around the room, his eyes wild and pleading. I built it all. It was my work, and he was just going to throw me away. I just wanted to show them. I wanted to show them all that he couldn't survive without me. The confession hung in the air. It was pathetic. It was small. Harrison Cole just stared at him. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just nodded once. George, he said, his voice perfectly even, get him out of my sight. What? What are you? Mark stammered. Call the New York Police Department, Harrison said to Brenda. Tell them my chief technology officer has just committed corporate sabotage, grand larceny, and, I don't know, 20 other felonies. I want him in jail. Tonight. George grabbed Mark by the arm. This time, it was not a gentle hold. No! Wait, Harrison, please! Mark begged. Get him out, Cole repeated. George began to pull the weeping, struggling man out of the room. As he passed Laura O'Malley, who was standing by the door, Mark looked at her. You, he spat. This is your fault. Laura just looked back at him, her face sad. She said nothing. And then he was gone. The room was quiet again, but the tension was still there. The computers were still dark. Robert Chen cleared his throat. Mr. Cole, he was right about one thing. The logic bomb. It's still armed. The worm is still in the system. All eyes went back to Emily. Harrison Cole looked at the small 12-year-old girl sitting in his expert's chair. His entire empire, his life's work, his reputation, all of it was in her small hands. His tone was different now. The mockery was gone. The arrogance was gone. He was humbled. Miss O'Malley, he said. The use of her formal name was a sign of a new, profound respect. Can you fix it? Can you save us? Emily was still looking at the screen. She was studying the code. He thinks he's smart, she said quietly. But he's just angry. And angry people make mistakes. They get predictable. What do you mean? Chen asked, leaning in. He built a dead man's switch, Emily explained. It's designed to destroy everything if he gets caught. But he also built it so he could turn it off. A back door, Chen breathed. Of course. He'd want a way to stop it, just in case he needed to regain control himself. He's an arrogant man, Emily said. He used his own name as the key for the cipher. He probably used another one to hide the back door. She looked back at the lines of code. The signature. It's not just a note, Emily whispered. It's a command. Her fingers flew. She copied the string, pasted it into a command prompt. She hit enter. A new window opened on the screen. It was black, with simple white text. Fail-safe controls accessed. Enter disarm key. He was logging his own initials? Chen said in disbelief. That's insane. No, Emily said. That's lazy. What's the key? Cole asked, his hands clenched. Emily looked at the keyboard. She thought for a second. What does a man like Mark Jennings love? What does he value? He didn't love the company. He didn't love the people. He just loved himself. She typed one word. Genius. She hit enter. The screen flashed. Invalid key. Attempts remaining. 2. A cold sweat broke out on Harrison Cole's forehead. Emily, Laura whispered from the door. Emily took a breath. Okay, not genius. What else? What did he shout? I built this place. 20 years. She thought. He was passed over for the Apex merger. That's what started it. She typed. Apex. Invalid key. Attempts remaining. 1. Oh God, the CFO moaned, sinking into a chair. We're done. One more guess. The room was silent. If she was wrong, the servers would fry. Emily closed her eyes. She pictured Mark. She pictured his office, which she had cleaned so many times, the photos on his desk. There were no photos of family, no photos of friends, just photos of him. Him on a boat, him getting an award, him with the mayor. He's a narcissist, Emily whispered. He told us. What? Cole asked. He used his name, M-A-R-K. He used his initials, M-J. She looked at the screen. He's not complicated. He's just simple. She typed the key, password, failsafe disarmed. Robert Chen actually laughed, a short, sharp bark of disbelief. Password? He used password? He hid the door so well, Emily said. He never thought anyone would find it. He didn't need a strong lock. She took a deep breath. She moved the mouse. She highlighted the entire worm file, a file that represented 20 years of Mark Jennings's rage. Her small finger moved to the delete key. She pressed it. For a second, nothing happened. Then a small ding sound echoed from the laptop. The file was gone. On the wall, the giant stock ticker, frozen for 6 agonizing hours, flickered, and then it came to life. The numbers started to move. The stock, which had flatlined, was suddenly trading again. In the corner, the digital clocks on the wall, which had been stuck at 8:55 a.m., all flashed. They reset. 3:02 p.m. The phones in the room, all of them, began to ring at the exact same time. The sound was deafening. It was over. Robert Chen, the top expert in New York, slumped into his chair. He put his head in his hands. "My God," he muttered. "My God." Laura O'Malley was crying, her hand over her mouth. She was just looking at her daughter, her amazing, impossible daughter. Harrison Cole stood by the window. He was watching the ticker, his company, his life. It was back. He turned. He looked at Emily. He looked at her, truly saw her, for the very first time. Not as a maid's daughter, not as a child, but as the person who had just in one afternoon saved his entire world. He opened his mouth. He closed it. He was a man of words, but he had none. Then, his face flushed. He remembered. He remembered his awful, sarcastic, cruel promise, the $100 million, he stammered. Emily, who had been quietly logging out of Robert's computer, looked up. "Mr. Cole, it was a joke," he said, his voice pleading. "A terrible, terrible joke. I was a fool. Emily was quiet. She just looked at him with those clear, intelligent eyes, the eyes of her grandfather. "I know," she said. But a promise is a promise," Cole said, his mind racing. "The board, I'll have to. I can't." Emily shook her head. "I don't want your money, Mr. Cole." The entire room stared. I don't understand," Cole said. Emily stood up from the chair. She walked over to her mother, who was still by the door, holding her cleaning cart. Emily put her hand on the cart's handle. "You mocked my mother," she said. Her voice was not angry. It was just true. "You laughed at me. You told Mr. Jennings to throw me out. You and men like him have been laughing at people like us for a long time." Cole flinched. It was the truth. "I don't want a reward, Mr. Cole," Emily said. "I don't want a prize for doing the right thing. My mother taught me better than that." She looked him right in the eye. "I want a job." Harrison Cole was stunned. "A job? You're 12. "I know," Emily said. "I'm not asking for a job for myself. Not today." Robert Chen, the cybercore expert, let out a short laugh. He looked at Harrison Cole. "Harrison, are you blind? A job is an insult." "This young woman," he said, putting a clear emphasis on the word woman, "just did what my best 20 people could not. She saved you." Chen turned to Emily, his face filled with genuine awe. "Miss O'Malley, when you are 18, you do not need to ask him for a job. You call me. I won't give you a job. I'll make you a partner." Emily gave him a small, respectful smile. "Thank you, sir. But I want to build things, not just fix them when they're broken." She turned her gaze back to Harrison Cole. The power in the room had shifted. It was no longer in the hands of the man in the corner office. It was in the hands of the maid's daughter. "I want a scholarship," Emily said, her voice clear. "The best education. I want you to fund my college. All of it. MIT, Stanford. Wherever I choose to go. I will get the grades. You will pay the bills." "Yes," Cole said immediately. "Of course, anything." "And I want a job for my mother," Emily continued. Laura O'Malley, who had been watching her daughter with tears in her eyes, gasped. "Emily, no, sweetie. This isn't for us." "Yes, it is, Mom," Emily said, her voice softening. "She has the sharpest eyes in this building. She's not just a maid. She's a manager. She's been doing it for free for 10 years. Emily looked at Brenda, the assistant, who nodded in vigorous agreement. "Brenda," Cole said, his voice firm. He was making a decision. Effective immediately, Laura O'Malley is the new head of building logistics and operations at double her current salary. Laura covered her mouth, a sob of shock and gratitude escaping. And an internship, Cole said, looking back at Emily. A paid internship, for you. Every summer. You won't be in the mailroom. You'll be in my research and development department. He looked around. Is that enough? No, Emily said. The room, which had been relaxing, tensed up again. What? Cole asked, confused. I still want the $100 million, Emily said. Cole's face went pale. But, you said, I don't want it for me, Emily said. I want you to create a fund, a new one. The O'Malley Fund for Education. She pointed to the doorway, where her mother's cleaning cart still stood. It will be for the children of every janitor, cook, security guard, and mailroom clerk in this company. The people you look through every day. They work just as hard as you. Their children are just as smart as yours. Now, they will have the same chance. This was the final stroke. Harrison Cole was not just humbled. He was not just defeated. He was being rebuilt. He saw his entire life. The arrogance, the casual cruelty, the people he had stepped on. He was not looking at a 12-year-old girl. He was looking at a person of immense, terrifying character. I will, Cole said. His voice was thick. It's the first thing I will do tomorrow. He walked, not like a CEO, but like an old man. He stood in front of Emily. He offered his hand. Miss O'Malley, he said, you are the most impressive person I have ever met. Emily shook his hand, her small hand in his. My mother's father was Samuel O'Malley, Emily said, her voice quiet. He was a war hero, a code breaker. He always said, dignity isn't in the title, it's in the work. You have a lot of work to do, Mr. Cole. At the name, Harrison Cole's head snapped up. His eyes went wide. A strange, new light came into them. Samuel O'Malley? He whispered. From the army? Silent Sam? It was Laura's turn to be shocked. She stepped forward. You knew my father? Harrison Cole looked at Laura, then at Emily. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. Knew him, he said, his voice cracking. My God, when I started this company, I was a kid. I was 25, I had nothing. I was rejected by every bank. He pointed out the window. I was in a small office, about to lose it all. I went to one last bank, a small local branch. The loan officer, he took a risk on me. A man who saw patterns, a man who saw something in me. He was looking at Laura, but he was seeing the past. It was Sam O'Malley. He approved my first loan. He saved me. He gave me my start. Cole's eyes filled with tears. He was not a CEO now. He was just a man, remembering a kindness. He told me one thing. He said, I see the patterns in you, kid. You'll do well. Just don't forget the people who open the doors for you. He looked at Emily. He saw her grandfather's clear, analytical eyes. All these years in this glass tower, I forgot. I forgot his advice. I forgot the man who gave me everything. He looked at Laura. I mocked his granddaughter. I let his daughter be treated like she was invisible. He finally understood. The real debt. The real payment. It wasn't a joke, he said, his voice raw. $100 million. The fund. It's the least I can do. It's just a small repayment on a debt I have owed for 40 years. 1 month later, the lobby of Stratosphere Solutions felt different. Laura O'Malley walked through it. She was not pushing a cart. She was wearing a smart blue suit, holding a tablet. She stopped to talk to a group of her new logistics staff. She smiled. She was a natural leader. Harrison Cole came out of the elevator. He saw George, the security guard. George, he said. George tensed. Sir? Your son starts at City College next year, correct? Cole asked. George looked confused. Yes, sir. He's worried about the tuition. Tell him to apply for the O'Malley Fund. I will review it personally, Cole said. He smiled. And thank you, George, for everything you do. George just stared, speechless, as the CEO walked out the front door. That evening, in their small, clean apartment, Emily O'Malley was at her desk. It was the same desk, but on it sat a brand new, powerful computer. On the screen was a complex line of code. Laura came in, home from her new job. She was tired, but in a new way. A good way. How was your first day on the internship? Laura asked, smiling. Emily looked up. Her blonde hair caught the light. It was good, Emily said. I finished my first assignment for the R&D department. They think they have a security flaw in their new mobile app. Laura leaned over. And do they? Emily smiled. Her fingers moved, typing one last command. The flaw was gone. They did, she said. Emily O'Malley looked out the window. She saw the lights of the Manhattan skyline. She saw the stratosphere building, piercing the clouds. They were a long way from the 50th floor, but she knew, with the same certainty that she knew how to code, that one day she would not just work there, she would run it. She was the daughter of a maid, the granddaughter of a codebreaker, and she was just getting started. And that's where we'll end Emily's story for now. A story proving that true character is more important than any job title. I hope this gave you a chance to step out of your everyday routine and just enjoy the moment. I'd love to know what you were doing while listening. Were you on a walk, tidying up your own space, or just winding down for the night? Let me know in the comments below. I genuinely read all of them. And if you want to make sure we cross paths again for another story, hitting like and subscribing is the best way to do it. Feel free to also drop your feedback on what you loved or what we can improve. Thanks for spending this time with me.